Welcome to Bitter Reality Brewing. Yes, we're in my kitchen today, and yes, I have a t-shirt that I just got. Thought it was funny. It is what it is. If you enjoy it, great. If offended, I'm sorry. But hey, we're gonna do yeast starters today. Super simple, no crazy expensive flasks, no anything fancy, just nice and simple. Mason jars, they were already washed, sitting up in the cabinet. I rinsed them out. I'm gonna put them in this water that is just literally starting to come up to a boil. I turned it off. I don't want to burn the crap out of myself. When you put these into boiling water, do it slowly. You drop something really cold, because of room temperature or whatever it may be, it could shatter. So you want to go in there. And then what you're gonna want to do is flip it over. And these tongs, you can buy at Walmart for super cheap. They're basically what people use when they're doing canning. Grab it, lift it up, squeeze real tight, and just slowly pour the hot water back. And we have 6 sterile mason jars. That's that easy. Once you have your area, make sure it's nice and clean. Just because you're dealing with yeast, spray it down, star sand and water, and rinse it down one more time, just to make sure everything is super clean. I always use the inside of the paper towel. Don't know why, it's just a OCD of mine, to make sure everything is nice and clean. And right nearby. I missed. And then what I do is I roll this out. I know you're thinking, but you just cleaned everything. I like to use paper towels. I don't have any issues. I haven't had any issues, so I stick to it. Some of the yeast starters we're doing today is going to be 550, 565, 410. I got them in the mail. They didn't put enough ice packs, even though I paid for them. So they were a little warm, a little bulged. So I want to get those going. I also have Omega 501. As you can see, I store up my yeasts over long haul, and I like to keep them going. 048 from Omega. And then I wanted to check this one. This one's bubbling up, which tells me it got warm, and I left it out intentionally just to kind of show you. But basically, this is no longer viable as far as I'm concerned. It's been going, it's kind of fermenting. I might be able to try it, I don't know. We'll do a little test real quick. Actually, hasn't been left out enough to start smelling like vinegar or anything funky. We might try that. See how it works. It's White Labs London. I forget what the number is. It's kind of trying to show you when yeast is kind of doing its thing when you don't really want it to. It happens. So you always have to, if you store the stuff in your fridge like I do in here, I always keep it on the bottom or the second drawer, and I kind of adjust the cooling pass-through to keep it very, very cold. Okay, now we've got to do our yeast starter as far as put a little wort for the yeast to eat. Simply get a pan, nothing special. Spring water, nothing special. And I like this measuring cup, even though I like my Pyrex a lot. I love this one because you can see the measurements simply by looking down, which makes life really easy. Not really ideal for putting in the microwave. I've done that with the smaller ones, and let's just say it disfigured them. So I take this, I pour it in here. I'm doing 6 yeast starters, and each one I do about 6 ounces, which 6 times 6 means I need 36 ounces of water. Well, 4 cups is 32. So I'm gonna have to get a little more. Kind of go into the maximum of this pot, because this pot really isn't designed to do a ton. And instead of doing 6 ounces, I'm gonna go all the way, just a hair under 8, knowing I'm gonna have a little bit of boil off. It's pretty normal. So we'll kick the heat up. Be very careful. You can get a boil over doing this too, based on your pot and what you're doing. You're gonna whisk everything. It's gonna blend together better while it's cold. I set it to high. I bring mine down to about a 7 or an 8 once it gets going. Simple measuring. Tare. units, pounds and ounces. So I do about 0.66 of an ounce to 0.67 of an ounce based on what I've read, and it's a little on the higher side, per 6 ounce yeast starter. So I need about 4 ounces total of, basically, you've seen this before, just a light malt extract, and I have these little silica gel packs in there to keep it nice and powdery. They work beautiful for that. Half an ounce, 1 ounce. 1 tablespoon is just about a half an ounce of dry malt. There we are, we're right at 4 ounces. To avoid clumping and all this because it gets sticky, get rid of it. Put it in this thing. Simply put that all in there because the steam will cause it to stick to the cup right away. And we just want to stir. That's it, nothing special. We're gonna get this up to a boil. Once it's up to a boil, we'll let it sit for, usually try to get a mildly rolling boil for maybe about 3 or 4 minutes. I have gone 10 minutes, but I haven't noticed any improvement, so 3 or 4 minutes is sufficient. And then I usually sprinkle in just a little bit, maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of Whisk yeast nutrient. Some people say it's beneficial, some people say it's not. I'm trying to grow the yeast, so I'm going to throw it in there if it can help. We'll let that get up to a boil. Not sure if you can hear that, it's starting to rumble. Keep stirring it. It's the yeast nutrient. Remember, if you walk away, you look away, you will have a boil over. That's just the way it is. If you start to get a boil over, lift it off the heat. It's that easy. And it will start to go down. Kind of see there, nice and foamy. Turn that down. I'm going to keep cooking it for a little longer here. And almost boil over. As usual, you want to cool this down, put it in a bigger pan with water. And then 2 things you can get. The gun thermometer is nice, but the problem is it's not as accurate when it hits foam. So, and then just an inexpensive thermometer that you've compared to other thermometers to make sure that it's accurate. When I first started brewing, the one I had was off by about 2 degrees. And I figured out that all the other thermometers were giving me a different reading than it, minus one that was even worse. It was almost 10 degrees, it was insane. Yeah, just cheap, inexpensive, but accurate. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get an accurate thermometer. If you want an instant read, you might have to spend a bit. And we're sitting up around, drum roll, at about 140. So same thing applies when you're doing your beer and you're pitching your yeast. Actually, we're about 146. You want to get this down to around 68 degrees Fahrenheit. If it's a little cooler, a little warmer, that's fine. Just try to get it down to around that before you pour it in and add your yeast. Just trust me on that one. The other thing you're going to need, which I have them over here, soaking in star sand. Take them out here, show you. Little stir bars. They're basically magnets coated in Teflon, and they've got a little ridge which helps when they're sitting so they can spin. But they work really well. They're cheap. You can get them from your home brewing supply. You can get them off Amazon. You can get them just about anywhere. I prefer the larger ones because I have ordered them before and got like the microscopic versions. I don't know what the hell you mix with that, but I'm not mixing anything with a microscopic stir bar. It's just not happening. So we're gonna let this cool down and we'll move on to starting the yeast starters. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can keep this angled down so you can see everything going on. We've got these covered in star sand with my hand covered in star sand. Looks like, no, I got 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope, I had 7. I like the bigger one, so we're gonna pull the little one out and dump the bigger one in there. And I'll put this back into Star Sand. Then what we're gonna do is we got 501 here, we'll put it there. A British 48, we'll put it there. A London one that we're gonna see how it goes, we'll put it there. 410, 565, and 550. One of my favorite Belgians, my favorite saisons. Then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna grab some tin foil, which somebody has just about destroyed. Tear off little strips. Tear's a lot easier when you have the box, but hey, it is what it is. Little Star Sand. Little Star Sand. Because it's been sitting down there. And then we can actually put the yeast in. So we're gonna go ahead and 565, take it. Yes, I don't like this stuff all over me. Plus, breathing it bothers me. Straight razor. So don't try this at home. Yeah, can't find my good scissors. So, quick and easy solution. And that's when it doesn't cut just where you want it to cut. Keep in mind, if you're using scissors or razor and Star Sand, you need to clean it in between each one or you can cross-contaminate the yeast. That's the last thing you want to do. There's a little bit in there. We'll wait because I forgot. What I like to do is put a little bit of the liquid malt in there to get that out. Let me grab that. Okay, we have the chilled wort, and here's a baby brother of the big one. Also been cleaned, washed, dishwasher, Star Sand, rinsed, and has about a hair over 6 ounces, closer to 7 ounces, just because we didn't cook off as much as I had hoped, but that's okay. Pour a little bit in here. You can see it through the little window. Yeast is expensive. I want all of it. About it. We'll grab a little more. Okay, you're probably wondering what the foil was for. Sharpie. That's 565, 550, 410. Simply take the foil, tear it in half. I'm going to take this, dump the rest in there. We already have the stir bar in the bottom, which if you want to know how to get the stir bar out or hold it when you're trying to put them back in little jars like this for storage, there's your stir bar. There it is. What I'll do is I'll actually try to double that yeast. Used half for pitching and half I'll store away. We take this, we put it on top, cover it. We want a little bit of oxygen to get in, and I write, for me, W, L, P, one of the worst W's I've ever drawn, but that's okay. 5, 6, 5. I now know what that is. Boom, done. And we'll repeat. Let's go to one of the ones I've had before. So we have 501 here, which is from Omega. I haven't tried it yet. It's a British or Irish yeast, I believe. Blended with a saison yeast, and it's supposed to really, really rock. I'm kind of debating about putting it in a stout, although they do recommend IPAs. Give me a moment, I'm gonna pour out some of the excess liquid. That liquid is just settled beer that was, or wort, from the last time I made a starter. And all I'm doing here is I'm just shaking it up, trying to make sure I got it all loose off the bottom. And I pour it in. Same thing applies. I turn around, I grab this, I measure out my 6 ounces. Put some in here. And then it's your call. You can close this up, put it in the fridge. I do that probably every now and then, but the majority, or if it's been done once, I'll take the whole thing, run it through the dishwasher, clean it, make sure it's nice and sterile before I take the yeast starter that I produced and put back into the jar and put back into storage. For now, we're going to close them up and get it out of the way. So this one, same thing. Pour it in. I grab the other half of the foil I already tore. Take it, put it over the top. Another thing with the whole star sand, put it on your hands, clean your hands. You can dry your hands, they don't have to be dripping wet. I have enough autoimmune issues with chemicals, and star sand burns to breathe, but it hasn't bothered my hands, but I still don't like it on my hands. So I wash them, star sand them, dry them off. And there we go. It's labeled. I'm gonna do it for all of these. We'll speed it up high speed or cut it out, I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. Okay, this is the setup. Yes, it's my wife's old sewing room, but essentially, you open one of these, and you have a fan with earth magnets on it. And inside that old computer fan, the earth magnets are on the top, and there's a spacer with washers and bolts. And you simply set it on top, turn it on, and it begins to spin and stir like a little tornado. Okay, you can hear the noise, you can see the stirring. It's gonna pull oxygen into the starter, and the yeast is gonna continue to grow. And we'll harvest everything 24 hours later, or 36, based on when we're ready. I'll smell each one, make sure it smells like I expected it to smell. Sometimes I don't feel it smells well, as far as it's maybe an old yeast I've been redoing. A good example would be the London one I'm doing. We definitely want to smell it. It smelled good, but you know, when it's done, I want to check it. And this is why this is in this room, because imagine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've had up to 10 starters going. It can get very, very loud. And very simple, very inexpensive. You can buy these cigar boxes at like Total Wine for 50 cents to $1. $1 if they're wood, like that one. 50 cents if they're cardboard. You get old computer fans. The 120 millimeter work much better, which are about, I believe, 4 inches. And then some nice cheap earth magnets. The magnets I get out of hard drives don't seem to work very well. And that's it. And of course, some screws and some washers and nuts from off or Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever office or hardware supply store you have nearby. So we basically cold crashed all of the yeast that we made. Like I said, I let it run about 24, 36 hours. And this is actually multiple batches. So this is more than what we originally did in the video in the beginning. This one, as you can see, it's starting to get a little line down here. Maybe you'll see it. The rest is not. That's called fluctuation. But basically the yeast is still in suspension. So we're not gonna be able to do anything with this one. We're gonna have to let this one cold crash to something like this. This is White Labs 550, one of my favorite Belgian yeasts. And as you can see, all the yeast is on the bottom. Take the magnet, try to find the stupid little stir thing. I must have taken it out. There we go. There we go. Magnet stuck. It's got the stir bar in there. I'm gonna take this, I'm just gonna dump it over at my sink to get rid of most of the beer. I'm not gonna let too much yeast fall out. As you can see now, all we have is a little bit. I like to take this off, so that way I can just stir it. All that yeast off the bottom. And then you just kind of hold up at an angle, and you can see if the yeast is sticking to the bottom. Going alternate directions, you'll get it all out of there. It's pretty much gone. Stick that on there again. As you'll see, we have some fresh ones. Same thing. Before you use them, just take them in almost boiling water, dip them. The lids I don't dip very long. I'm always afraid of burning myself with the metal or damaging the seal. But the jar, I definitely take my time getting it out, usually because I don't want to burn myself. Okay, you should not have any kind of weird growth in the bottom. If you do, you need to dip those too, because I just put them in the fridge after I poured it out. Pour the yeast in here. What this is yeast with a little bit of wort. And it will separate, and we'll end up with a little bit more wort on the top, kind of protecting the yeast at the bottom. And there's almost no yeast in here. That's it. I'll take this, go back over here, seal it up, toss it back in the bottom drawer in my fridge. And then what we'll do on the new ones, as you can see the little labels, I just tear, these are just postal labels, you know, for addresses. Just tear them in half or use the whole one, and I'll put the names of whatever is in the jars and put it in the fridge. And if I get one where it just doesn't look like it's that viable, like we did Burlington recently and it just didn't seem to kick, I'm gonna re-pitch that one again and do it again and see what happens. Otherwise, I'll buy a fresh one and rotate it through. If you saw the latest, we have a video out with a French toast brown ale getting ready to be released. I use this yeast and I don't have much left, so it's Omega 501. I need to make some more yeast. I won't have to buy more. It was a kind of a toss-up between that and Omega 048, which I swear might be the very same yeasts. They smell very similar. They have the same fluctuation, attenuation, temperature range. It's almost identical. And they don't make this one anymore, and they make that one now. So I don't know. I could be wrong. And as you can see, we also have different colors. Like that's 410. It's a wit. Very different color compared to this Melbourne, which is more like a California yeast. So, and it's the same wort. Nothing different. Very, very different color. And looking down here, you can see the different colors. The yeast definitely impacts the color of the beer too, which there's not a lot of information out there on that, on how much color will be retained or lost or bright red. I don't know how you get that, but that information should be out there. I just wish it was. It's not. Something for someone else to do. Thank you again for joining us at Bitter Reality Brewing with a little easy, simple yeast starters and maintaining your yeast so that you don't have to keep buying yeast. If you appreciated this, I know it's very simple. It's not all scientific, and we're not doing all kinds of, through the microscope, looking at how many cell counts we have. We're not doing the beakers or all the fancy stuff. We're just keeping it simple. Very simple. If the yeast goes funky or doesn't smell right, or you leave it out, you buy another one. But if you can maintain it, you don't have to buy them as frequently, which will help keep your costs down. Thanks again. Don't forget to like, subscribe so you don't miss a video. Questions, comments, feel free, ask, go for it. Thanks again.